and welcome back to my channel. So on today's video we are going to do a review of this Kosas foundation. This is their Revealer Skin Improving Foundation with broad spectrum of SPF25. We're also going to do a photography test with it because it has SPF. Let's see if this will have any flashback on my face, and we'll also do a wearability test. We'll see how this performs on my oily combination skin on the 4th hour and on the 8th hour. Just like the previous foundation that I have reviewed, the Ilia foundation, this is also a hybrid foundation, meaning it has skincare ingredients in it, and it's also a clean makeup brand. This foundation costs $54 US, and if you convert it to Canadian dollars, it's around 64 Canadian dollars. Now, this foundation is actually not available on our Sephora's website at sephora.ca, so I had to buy this directly from the Kosas website. This foundation claims to give you a medium coverage SPF treatment foundation with a natural dreamy finish that instantly blends like a second skin to blur visibly smooth texture and minimize pores. The powerhouse blend of hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, peptides, squalene, vitamin B5, arnica, plus caffeine is clinically proven to hydrate, brighten, soothe, plump, and protect. It's also dermatologically tested, safe for sensitive skin. It's non-acnegenic and hypoallergenic. Now let's go to the try-on to see how this foundation looks like on my skin. Just to give you a little background, I have oily combination skin. I have hyperpigmentation on my upper cheeks, and I also have big pores on the side of my cheeks. And for shade reference, I'm usually an NC25, NC30 with MAC. So let's start with the try on. I already put moisturizer on my face. I used the Bobbi Brown moisturizer, and I also put on my primer, which is the e.l.f. Putty Primer. So the shade that I got is light, medium, neutral 200, which is described as a light medium with subtle pink undertones. I don't know why I chose this shade, but I think I'm just looking at each of the person's photo on Kosas website, and I thought that this would be my shade. Now I am nervous because I definitely don't have a pink undertone. So this is one pump. Doesn't really hold its shape, but it doesn't go down very quickly. I'm going to use my brush first on my left side. I don't think the shade is too bad. The way that this one lays on my face, it kind of reminds me of the MAC Face and Body Radiant Foundation, because it doesn't look very liquid on my hand, but it kind of applies like that. So this is my face with the foundation using a brush, and this is without the foundation. I don't like how it's laying really flat on my face, maybe because I use a brush. I'm not liking how it looks like using a brush, so I'm going to use a sponge for my second layer. I like this better. Especially with thinner foundation, I find that the airbrush sponge is better because it doesn't eat up the product. This foundation has a weird smell to it. It's weird. I'm sorry, but this foundation smells like a wet rug. Is it just me? Like, if you've tried this foundation, comment down below. Oh my gosh, I hope that it goes away. On my face, I don't smell it, but since I'm like pounding my sponge and I've cleaned my sponge before using it, like I really can smell it. And I'm very sensitive to smell, that's the thing. Like, I can really smell what's in my product. Once on my face though, I can't really smell it. It definitely looks like second skin because of that glow. It's very thin, so it looks like second skin. I can really see my pores because of that thin consistency. Like, it doesn't bounce on my skin. It just kind of lays flat because of the thin consistency. But the coverage is really good. I almost can see my hyperpigmentation on the side of my cheeks. And I love the glow. Oh gosh, look at that. Okay, I'm going to do 1.5 pumps on the other side to see how it looks like. So this is how my face looks like with the foundation on. So first impression, from afar, I really look like I have glass skin. Like, look at that glow. And the light is really reflecting this foundation well. It looks like I have skincare on instead of foundation. But when you look closely, I don't know if the camera's getting it, like you can really see my pores, you can really see the bumps on my face because of its very thin consistency. Mind you, the coverage, it can really go up to a full coverage, I think, because it's very buildable. You can't even really see my hyperpigmentation on the side of my cheeks. But I can't say that it has that blurring effect on my pores and that smoothening effect on my texture. But I have to say, it doesn't cling to any of my dry spots or texture. It doesn't highlight that. And it really feels nice on the face. It feels like you have skincare on. And I get how it looks like you have plump skin because it's very, very hydrating. Okay, I think my foundation has set a little bit. It's still a little tacky, but we'll start putting on my cream contour and see how this blends. When it comes to my cream contour, it really blends well on top of this foundation, and the foundation didn't move, so it's a good sign because I thought it was going to move because of its consistency, but it's really sticking on to my face. Now let's put on some liquid blush. The liquid blush also was easy to put on top of this foundation. The foundation didn't move. I can still see that glow even though this foundation has been on my face for a few minutes now. I'm going to set this foundation with my Huda Beauty Pound Cake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. And I'm just going to use my airbrush sponge to set this. So I've already finished my makeup, and this is how the foundation is looking like on my face. When I put my setting powder on, it kind of removed that overall glow on my face, but I can still see a lot of glow on the side of my cheeks, which I really like because it makes my skin looks like natural skin, and it gives you that natural glowy skin, and it gives you the look of a very hydrated skin. So far, I'm really liking this foundation. Now let's do the photography test. This foundation has SPF 25, and sometimes SPF can give you a flashback on photos, so we'll test this out. So 4th hour update. I don't see a big difference from the time that I freshly put it on to now. I just noticed a little of the foundation rub off, but that's because I was wearing a mask a while ago when I picked up my daughter. And I know that I was concerned about my pores the first time I put this foundation, but when I used the Huda Beauty powder, it actually helped in blurring out my pores. So I think this foundation plus that powder is really a good match. Overall, the coverage is still in that medium to full coverage. Honestly, I like it better now than the first time I put it on, especially when I put the powder, because it really kind of mattified the look. But now it's less matte and more dewy. It really looks skin-like. It's very light on the face. I feel like I don't have a foundation on. I feel like I have a moisturizer on. So far on the 4th hour, this foundation is really performing well, and I'm really loving this foundation on myself. So I'll update you on the 8th hour and give you my final thoughts on how I feel about this foundation. So 8th hour update, there's really not a lot of difference from the 4th hour to the 8th hour. The only difference that I can really see is that the top of my forehead, the center of my nose, and a little bit on the side of my cheeks are getting oily. Yeah, I didn't touch up my nose, so you can see that the foundation kind of rubbed off on top of my nose. But besides that, I'm gonna use my magnifying mirror. I also see a little build-up of foundation on the side of my nose, but comparing this to the other foundations that I have tried, this is very minimal. And even though I look oilier than the first time, I would say that it's not so bad. Like I get really oily with other foundations, but this actually really help in controlling my oil. I think that this foundation plus the Huda setting powder is really a good match, because before setting this foundation without the powder, I can really see my pores, but this powder actually really helped to minimize the look of my pores. Although I can still see the pores on the side of my face, it's not too prominent. I actually still really like this foundation on the 8 hour. I still look very decent. I don't look like I have been wearing this for 8 hours. Now let's use my blotting sheet and see how the foundation looks like without the oil. It's really a lot of oil in the center of my forehead. So I got a lot of oil. Some of the foundation, like after blotting, I see some of the foundation really settling in to my pores. On the other parts of my skin where there's no big pores, it's still looking good. It's still having that medium coverage. I'm actually really amazed. I really enjoyed using this foundation. I think I'm ready to give you my final thoughts. So I'm giving this foundation a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, I really enjoyed using this foundation. The only thing that I'm missing from this foundation is its blurring effect. Although it claims that this can blur and visibly smooth texture and minimize pores, I don't think that this foundation can really do that, but a good powder can help. I really like how it didn't really cling into my texture, and even though it didn't really help in minimizing my pores, it also didn't highlight them. At first when I applied this on, it was very glowy, but it sets and it's not too much. It's just a good glow. I really like it. Really looks like second skin. I feel like I'm not wearing foundation. Honestly, the only thing that I didn't like about this foundation is that it doesn't smell weird on the bottle, but really when I apply it on and then I use my sponge, it really, my sponge doesn't smell like it anymore. And I thought I was going crazy, so I went to the Kosas website and looked at the review, and I also saw someone comment that this foundation has a weird scent. Initially you can smell it, it really goes away after a while. I don't know if it's because, of the arnica or the Artemisia flower? I'm not too sure. If you guys have tried this and you've also smelled that awful smell, let me know. But that's not a big thing for me, because again, it wasn't really bad, and after a while it really disappears. But overall, I think that I can recommend this to all skin types, maybe oily combination, dry. I even think that this could be my everyday foundation, knowing that it is also hypoallergenic. It also has SPF25, and on photos it wouldn't give you flashbacks, so I can get that SPF during the day. So I'm really impressed with this foundation. I really think that it's worth a buy. I like that it has skincare benefits in it and also a clean brand, and I just like that it ticks off all my skincare concerns. And again, I think that this will be one of my go-to foundations for every day. So if you have any more questions that I didn't cover on this review, just comment down below. I'll be happy to answer it. In the meantime, don't forget to check my foundation playlist where I review drugstore and high-end foundations. And if you find this video helpful, also don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll always be updated once a new video is out. Thank you so much once again for watching. I'll see you in my next one.